Have you ever wondered how people managed to get nice toys that are just out of reach? My name is Junior, and I want to share my story with you. Because of my grind, I was able to start a construction company. To date, I built hundreds of custom homes, and I'm still hustling. But one thing was missing: to one day own the American icon, the Corvette. Once they went mid-engine, I just had to have it. I teamed up with my boy Craig, who has that same passion for anything with a motor. Our goal is to find like-minded people and have them share their stories and their rides.
Welcome to Street Heat 508. What's up, guys? This week on Street Heat 508, we actually leave the 508 and head over into the 401. For those of you who aren't familiar with 508 or 401, we leave from Mass and we head into Rhode Island.
Yeah, we get to talk to Salem, which is a very cool dude. He's got a cool story. He talks about where he came from to where he's at now, and more importantly, where he intends on going. And the cool part about this episode, man, it kind of branches off to another episode, but we'll keep that secret.
What's going on, guys? My name is Salem. This is my shop here, Motomotive and Retro Auto Sales. This is the home of my home base here. So we're a body shop, we're a repair garage, we're a dealership. We're also an import company. We're kind of an all-encompassing one-stop shop for everything automotive. We do everything from, as you can see in the background, working on Lamborghinis and Supras to working on Corollas and Camrys, and kind of this is where I have everything, the culmination of my basis for what I'm trying to do and grow the shop into a sort of a West Coast shop vibe, where a lot of the West Coast shops are these massive shops where everything is done in-house, where on the East Coast there's not too many shops that do that. So I'm using this as kind of the launching pad to eventually move towards something to that effect that's on the East Coast compared to the West Coast type of shops.
So that's awesome. So you're bringing basically the West Coast to the East Coast.
Exactly. So to me, I grew up with cars and stuff like that. So I've owned everything from lowriders to exotics to, trucks. I have no discrimination when it comes to cars. I'll buy anything, I'll play with anything, I'll work on anything. Cars to me are a passion. So it's like when I have a customer that walks in the door and they're excited about their project, regardless if it's a Corolla or if it's, like the Lamborghini behind me, it doesn't matter to me because I was just like that. So I have, I see what they like and I'm like, oh, that was me a couple years ago. I want to help him get to where I am at now and kind of see the progression of them as well, because a lot of my clients are longtime clients. I have a client who started with me with a Nissan, an old 240 SX, and now we got him a Ferrari and we got these cool cars we're working on for him, and those relationships mean the most to me because trust is a big thing. If you don't have trust, you have nothing. So when somebody says, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you this month, that amount of money, go find me something because you have my trust, and I'm flying across the country finding cars, there's no better feeling than that. So that's why I choose to work on my cars, and I have a couple of my own cars, and I just know how it is to be a car guy. So it's like you start that relationship and things can kind of go from there.
What got you into cars? How did that passion start?
So it's kind of a weird way how it started when I was a kid. My dad always wanted a Mercedes-Benz. I didn't grow up rich or whatever. We grew up okay. I always had food. My dad took really good care of us. But it was something with the Mercedes-Benzes. Like, I always had a thing for old school Mercedes-Benz. And then from there, it was kind of like, oh, that's cool. Let me go look at the BMWs, the old school BMWs. And I have a lot of love for the old school cars. So when I was 15 years old, my dad actually went and got me a 59 Chevy Bel Air. I still have it to this day.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was cheap. It was on eBay. It wasn't a really expensive car, but being 15 and like, you know, my dad was like, oh, here's a 59 Bel Air. Till this day, like, I've never felt the feeling like that before. So from there, it was kind of just like, oh, I'm gonna get another car and another car. And so like, I've always bought and sold cars. Even like when I first got my license, I was buying and selling cars. We had a car wash, and I was working at the car wash. So I've had doctors and surgeons, all these guys walk in with their super expensive Bentleys and Maseratis, and you know, to them it's just a car, but to me it was like that's a mode of expression for a lot. I mean, you guys are car guys yourself, so that was kind of like the culmination of just seeing cars every day. From there, it was kind of like I really got interested with body work and repair work and stuff like that. And I started just talking to people that were in the industry, and I ended up buying a 93 Toyota Supra. And that was like, you know, a big project for me. It took almost 6 years to complete. I just finished it last year. So I ended up, you know, I got rid of that car, and then I got a Mitsubishi Eclipse, the first generation. So then I got my Evo, then I went to a Viper. Then it was like kind of, I also progressed in my own cars. To me, it was, you know, the cars are my expression. So like when you see me in my cars, like most of the time I don't go to car shows. I just drive around. I like just have fun, drive around, you know, and just enjoy the cars for what they are, because they are pieces of art. You know, something like this 240 or this Supra. These are all cars that, you know, at one point where nobody cared for it. Now here we are 20, 30 years later, and they're collectibles and they're museum pieces.
So all these cars and these customizations of all these cars is what led you to this garage then, right?
In a very weird sense. So I had a business partner of mine for about 7 or 8 years. I worked with him hand in hand every single day, and we built, you know, a very successful company and real estate portfolio. Things ended up falling out. I ended up walking away with pretty much nothing. 2 years ago, I had, I think, maybe like $13,000 to my name and maybe 1 or 2 cars. But I always kind of kept my faith. You know, my dad raised me on the sense where, you know, God gives, God takes. So that kind of kept me pushing. I ended up getting my realtor's license and my contractor's license. I ran around doing other things, and then eventually a friend of mine was looking for a Supra. And for a while I was like, I want to start an import company. And that's what I was trying to do. He ended up looking for a very specific Supra. So, you know, my connections and my network of people on Facebook and social media, whatever, I had made a post and I said, hey, listen, I'm looking for this specific car. So actually, now a really good friend of mine in Australia had called me and said, hey, I have that exact car. And at the time, he was just a stranger on the internet. And he was like, oh, just send me $20,000 through wire transfer. And so I was a little weary, and I was like, you know what, let me fly out there. I got nothing going on right now. So I was like, you know what, I ended up booking a flight. When I went out there, they had like 15 Supras for sale. And I was like, you know what, this is God telling me. You lost everything in November. Now we're in January. What are you gonna do? So I was like, you know what? I said, how much for 6 of them? It ended up being like $100 and something thousand, which at the time was like, oh my God, that kind of money. And then I sold my Viper, I sold my S2000, I sold my Eve. I just started moving things around to make things happen, because I was like, if it's meant to be, it's gonna happen. I just gotta find a way to make it happen. So I took the 13 I took whatever I could get from my cars, and thank God for my mother. My mother came in clutch. She gave me a little bit of money. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to be like, all right, well, I only gotta come up with like another $20,000, $30,000. I can figure it out. And then luckily my friends in Australia were very like understanding, and I was like, all right, we're gonna make this work. So I sent them what I had. I flew out to Australia. I bought all the cars. A very good friend of mine ended up having a garage for rent. It wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but it was bigger than my driveway. It was off the street. It was heated, and
it's what you needed at the time.
It's what I needed at the time.
Yep.
And I looked at myself. I told myself in the mirror, I'm like, you're gonna outgrow this place in a year's time. And I like to repeat myself, when God gives, He takes. And within 4 months, that shop was too small. So a lot of what we do as well is we do a lot of, you know, specialty car, sourcing, and, you know, a lot of what got me through 2020 was finding cars for customers, you know, things that they like, the 240s, Skyline, stuff like that. So what you have here is actually one of my, I guess, a really client who keeps me very busy is a good way to put it. His name is Carmine, and he actually has me now. We do a lot of also consignment for specialty cars, so and normal cars, believe it or not. We do also do the Corollas and the Civics, but a lot of what here is, you see this 1992 40SX that we're actually offloading for him because he wants to, you know, get into some other cars, and his entire garage we've rotated in about a year now. So this right here is a 1990 240SX with a turbo SR20. It's on air ride with Origin wide body kit. It's on some really nice 3-piece wheels. This car moves. It's definitely a fun car. It just got repainted by, it wasn't done by us, but this was before we had the shop. So this was done about a year ago, this paint job. You know, it's got a whole air ride setup in the trunk. You know, definitely a specialty car, I guess is a good way to put it. This definitely falls in the specialty category. Carmine is one of those guys that has a very, very nice taste in what he does. So a lot of his cars are on air ride. He has a Supra that's on air ride. We have some other projects we're working on him that we'll get to that we're actually gonna be putting on air ride as well and stuff like that. So the way that it's currently set up with the tire stretch and the fenders and all that stuff, this is definitely more designed for a Sunday drive or taking your wife out for dinner or, you know, just going for a quick cruise. This is definitely not designed for going down a drag strip at, you know, 12 seconds or 11 seconds a quarter mile, I should say. If you follow us this way, you can actually take a look at the latest car we just picked up for him out of New York, which is a 2004 Ferrari 360 Spider. This car is here today just because we're doing a tail panel change to a Challenger F1 grille, which is just an upgraded rear grille. We're repainting his rear bumper. There were some paint chips on it that Carmine is a perfectionist. I wanted to make sure it was perfect, so we brought it in and we're gonna repaint his rear bumper. We also did a complete titanium exhaust. Eventually, if you get to see Carmine's garage, none of his cars are, you know, normal.
All right, Salem. So we're looking at this cool Lamborghini. Explain to me what we're looking at like I'm some idiot who doesn't know what Lamborghinis are.
All right, so this is a 2002 Lamborghini Murcielago. It's actually the first year of production for the Murcielago in general, actually, not even in the States in general. So believe it or not, this car actually reads in kilometers and not miles per hour.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Don't ask me how they got that passed through, but that's okay, it was whatever, I got the Lamborghini. It's a V12, 6.2 liter, and this specific model is actually a gated 6-speed. So it's an actual full manual car instead of the E-gear, and E-gear is basically you have paddles instead of a shifter and a clutch pedal. So this is an actual manual car, we'll call it. So this is pretty much a collector spec car because they didn't make a lot of the manuals, and at the time E-gear was new, so all the guys were like, oh, I want the new thing, I want the E-gear, and then, you know, 20 years later, it's, oh, I want the manual. So she makes about 540 horsepower. You know, those are the Lamborghini numbers. Whether or not they're accurate, I don't really know, but she's all-wheel drive, which, you know, she's definitely a fun car to put on the road. You know, I guess the best part about this being what it is it has the traditional Lamborghini doors where they go up, where over the Gallardo, you know, and get the Lamborghini doors. I believe it's a 64 valve engine with 4 throttle bodies, so, oh yeah, it definitely moves. She's definitely got some power. I think the rear tires are 345, so it's got these massive, you know, massive front and rear tires, full carbon fiber, you know, trays in the rear. A lot of the car is actually fiberglass as well, like the fenders and stuff like that. I believe the exact name for this color is Grigio Antares, some weird Italian word I don't know how to say, and I'm Lebanese, not Italian.
Like what you see, subscribe, like, comment, tell us what you like, and guys, what you don't like, keep to yourself.